It's a shame you have to keep driving into wretched old Southampton, isn't it?
Mm.
If only they had a test centre out here.
You can practice most things in Leamington.
Yeah.
And in fact, as my father used to say, you can drive in Milford, you can drive anywhere in the world. He's probably right. People don't. What else do you say? People don't park in Milford; they abandon.
Dump.
And we have. I'll show it to you. We'll pass it again in a moment. Most places have a drive-through McDonald's. Milford has a drive-through letterbox. People just drive onto the pavement, under with it down, we put a post up there now, so you can't do it. We have a drive-through letterbox. Funny. Okay, let's work on a bit of judgment in terms of the decisions that people make to go or not go. So tuning into what's around you, because this is going to be really important that you are aware of what's around you, and feeling whether the decision to go.
Well, that was close, wasn't it? You would have had to.
You feel how I came out as well, and actually came out
quite fast.
Smoothly.
Yes, you didn't bunny hop. He would have had to come off the gas then. What I would have, had I been him, I would have come off the gas. Glad you didn't go then.
That's exactly what I wanted to be thinking about. So thoughts about that one? Happy that I didn't go in front of the lorry.
Yeah.
My decisions after that.
There was a car coming out of the road that we were going into, and it's a Y junction, so he might have, and he wouldn't have gone because you were in his way.
Yeah.
So you'd have been, we would have been getting in his way because we were faffing.
Yeah. So in terms of my decision to go, was that a hesitancy or was that about right? What's your thoughts?
It felt a little bit slow after the truck lorry thing. Yeah,
it was too slow.
yeah,
Absolutely.
too faffy.
What slowed it down, do you think?
It was a blind bend. You couldn't. It wasn't. Our vision wasn't very far down the road.
Okay, so am I hearing you say that you think that maybe I was almost waiting for something to come to prove that I shouldn't go rather than making the most of the gap?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was taking the bend into account so much so that I was making it a issue rather than just taking it into account.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else that you might have been aware of that slowed my decision down? Or slowed my actions down, should I say?
No.
Okay.
There was nothing behind us.
No. I'm going to demonstrate it again, do the same thought again, and just see whether, because this is now about you tuning in, so we're doing the outside of the car, and we're now doing the inside of the car, in terms of tuning into what's going on inside.
You faffing?
Why? What am I doing?
Were you
that
watching
is
those people? Just having a look at them?
taking the time? Have a look again. I'll do it again at the junction.
I was stopping and putting the handbrake on. And not just holding it. Not just creep, creep, creep. You're pulling up and stopping.
Would you necessarily have an issue with that on a big junction like that? On a hill with a learner and cars coming?
Yeah. Just trying to find something wrong with it.
Keep looking. So in the time that I could have gone,
Yeah.
what am I doing? I
Okay.
called it faffing, but what am I doing? So tune into what I'm doing, okay?
I look at you. You're just looking.
I'm just looking, okay? Yeah, I'm just looking. Am I looking in the appropriate places?
No, you're looking behind.
Okay. Okay.
You were looking left and right.
Mm-hmm. But when could I be looking left and right?
Oh, okay.
So if I do it now.
Yeah. So you rock up to the junction.
So where am I looking now?
Ahead.
Now what do I do?
And now you start looking. Okay.
So actually, in terms of what is delaying me,
Yeah.
what's delaying me?
You're not preparing for the junction. It's all in steps.
You got it. You got it.
I'll position the vehicle and then I'll look.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the time in which I could have gone, I'm doing the looking.
Yeah.
And as you say, I've done it in steps. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So this is just beginning to kind of encroach on what we're going to do in the next session, where we'll start looking at fault identification,
Yeah.
tuning into what a fault is and when it is and why it's happening,
Yeah.
and what the solutions are. But it very much comes into today in terms of beginning to think like an instructor.
You do need the window down, don't you?
You know, I come to this junction and do it with people. So I'm aren't going to fluff around as they come out.
Yeah.
But to prove why this is a 30.
Yeah.
Because it's nothing to do with this road, it's to do with the roads joining.
Yeah.
And that actually, you imagine doing more than 30.
Yeah.
So if I did it again, so this is where I should be doing my looking now.
Yeah.
So that I make the decision now that
Yeah.
it's safe to do what I want to do. And therefore, I just have to do it. Because
Yeah.
I've done all my
Because
factors.
you've done all your.
Mhm.
Yeah. Done all your judgment.
So that's where it then links into the judgment being one of hesitancy, and I wasn't taking a gap that I should have taken.
Yeah. That felt fast, wasn't
For a learner or for an
it? For a
experienced
learner. Because I know an experienced driver, if something did appear on our side of the road, you know, or took the road, the bend wide, or you know, you would be fine to. Correct that. All that slow coming around that bend. Hurry up! Oh, but it's okay because we've got some traffic lights.
Who else was I a little bit aware of?
That lady. See, again, I saw her, but didn't really. I clocked her, but didn't think, is she going to be a problem? Now I need to get it into my head. How is she going to be a problem to me? Not is she going to be a problem, how is she going to be a problem? Because she's bound to be one.
Yeah. So, what would you hope that I would be doing now as a pupil?
Feet ready, and just keep an eye out of behind you, just to make sure something's not going to.
So what delayed me?
Nice.
What delayed
Your feet
me?
weren't ready,
Anything else?
and you hadn't looked all around
So when should I be looking?
all the time,
Time. Not waiting for the light to turn green and then looking.
and then start.
And so as the instructor,
Yeah.
when would you have been saying, where are you looking?
As soon as we stopped,
Yeah, got it. Not at the point when the light turns green.
because MSPSL doesn't ever stop.
Got it. Because you can see that if the light turns green, you say, where are you going to check before you move off?
Yeah.
It's too late.
Yeah.
By the time the pupils heard that, thought, oh God, I've got to do some checks.
Yeah.
Shown with their eyes they've checked, the light's gone red again.
Got red again, and
So,
you.
so you can see how you're just beginning to put the pieces of the jigsaw together and
Yeah.
thinking, what fault am I almost predicting could happen?
Yeah.
And how am I going to potentially control that?
Yeah. I know we have to make progress, but the roads are wet now. We're going around bends.
And how much do you think people is taking that into account?
They're not.
And so here we get almost into the next few lessons that we'll do, where we'll talk about the kind of questions you'd ask. So give me, if you can, think of a good question that you'd ask that is related to what you were just picking up on. So we've recognised that people may not be taking into account what we're taking into account.
Yeah.
Give me a question that gives you the answer to whether they are or not.
Have we noticed it's raining? What? Would your speed choice change now the weather's changed?
So let's think about it. We want to know what do we want to know from them? What do we want to know from what's going on in their head?
Are you happy to speak?
So the
Because I'm not
conversation,
happy with you doing it.
so the conversation that you and I had was something along the lines of, do you think that the pupil is taking into account the factors that you and I are taking into account?
Yeah.
And you said no.
Yeah.
So based on that little sentence, do you think that a pupil is taking into account factors that you and I would?
What factors might you take into consideration when you're hurling around this corner on these slippery roads?
Got nearly. What factors do you take into account when you've chosen your speed? That's the only question that's going to tell me whether they are taking into account factors.
Okay.
So in terms of thinking about the questions that you ask, think the motive for the question. What am I really wanting to work out? Do I really want to know whether they know whether it's raining or not? Have you noticed the rain? If I wanted to know whether they noticed the rain, have you noticed the rain would be a good question. Have you noticed the cyclist? No, that's like, it's you know, what dangers have you got ahead?
Yeah.
What are you planning for?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. But we're talking advanced stuff, so don't feel bad about that. But this is all just kind of proof that these type of things are all just going to be bits of the jigsaw that just slowly come together. So again, just a little tune in.
Quite close to the middle line, the centre line.
No, I'm alright.
Oh, okay.
Not deliberately so, anyway.
Oh, okay. We went down to 30 and
0.2
we were we were going too fast. Yeah, indicated too near the junction.
In fact, it was an everything too near to the junction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turned to speed on approach. These roads are windy, aren't they? And you're going quite fast. Indicated nice and early. Cut the corner. You hate that. It's your pet hate.
This is my pet hate. So we're just, as I said, just beginning to kind of expand from that awareness of an instructor, being able to think like an instructor, being able to feel like an instructor, and now being able to kind of identify things as an instructor. So if you think back to a couple of hours ago when we first started kind of setting up the car and thinking about where you were looking and how you were looking, how has that last couple of hours progressed for you?
I'm much more aware of what the driver's doing and the trust that you have to put in to a driver when they're in charge of the vehicle that you're travelling in. Especially when, I mean, this car's okay because I didn't like that.
But I think that's a good point, Jo, because do I trust any of my pupils more fully if I do?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So actually, trust is something that is absolutely gained. You know, somebody has to gain my trust.
Yeah.
And not just in terms of knowing my people and what they're capable of, but every second of everything they do, they are having to give me the trust, the vibes that I'm going to get, that I trust what it is they're going to do. So I'm not going to trust that my people is going to stop in this meeting situation just because they've showed me for the last 15 hours they have. Okay.
They've got to demonstrate it.
Absolutely.
By coming off the gas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the actions that your pupils do here and now, in this particular moment, we never, ever trust. We can have some hope, but we will never trust to the point that we are going to leave them to be responsible. And I know that you've heard me say this before in terms of levels of responsibility. You know, I'm not giving somebody...
Thank you.
Well done. I'm not giving responsibility.
Oh, thank you.
With some...
See, just because I did it once, don't mean I'm going to do it every time.
And actually, you'll watch the video back and discover times that you didn't.
Oh, all the time. But I just did it in the same, within about 10 seconds I didn't do it.
So what are you going to do? In this
Say,
situation?
thank you.
Well done. Yeah, so I'm not giving responsibility and making assumptions that they're going to take it.
Yeah.
Ever. I'm going to do a once round the block
Yeah.
before we stop. I'm not going to put in any faults, not deliberately anyway. And I'm not going to say anything,
Yep.
and you don't need to say anything either. But this is purely for the benefit of the camera, where you're going to have the opportunity to just have 2 minutes worth of footage to look back on yourself.
Yeah.
To see
How shocking I was.
to see how early you're doing observations.
Okay.
Okay. So just to start you off now, I'm expecting your middle mirror and particularly middle mirror, because your right mirror is redundant
Yeah.
for you, should have been happening way before I was talking about the middle mirror.
Yeah.
Okay. And just as you watch the video back, you're going to watch your mirrors compared to me being the driver.
Yeah.
You're going to make sure that you are ahead of me in your own observations. Okay, so just a 2 minute. I'm going to take the next road on the left, right even, sorry. And I'm going to take the next road on the left.
don't look soon enough, that back pillar gets in the way. Thank you.
So I will watch that little bit back and I'll cut it so that you can also watch it back
Okay.
and report on yourself and see what you think. How was today's session?
Not as scary as yesterday because I knew that you were in charge. And I didn't have to do any pedals or anything. Eye-opening.
In what way? Literally.
Just that the things that probably as a driver I notice, although I actually, if I'm honest, I probably don't. In fact, I don't. That I've got to now, because the driver's definitely not. And I've got to notice it so much earlier, because I've got to tell you. And then you've got to have a little think about it, and then do it. You've got to be a mind reader. You've got to be able to predict what people are going to do before they do it. So that comes with experience.
It does. However, is it a case of mind reading and is it a case of predicting, or what skills are you going to use to know that somebody's going to do something before they know? What is going to help you? When it comes to looking for things, what are you looking for?
Anything out of the ordinary, anything moving, anything that's going to cause us a problem, anything that we're going to cause them a problem.
And there were a couple of words that maybe I didn't emphasise much over the couple of hours, but are really important. It is threats. So your biggest threat, your biggest danger is the instructor. What is going to be the biggest and the most severest of the threats? Because that's where you should be thinking and talking and looking, etc., etc. And to look for clues. So we said it a couple of times. What clues have you got? So actually picking up on the clues that somebody's going to do something. Like the cyclist who looked over her right shoulder. That's a classic clue of somebody who is going to potentially turn right.
And I know that because of the hazard perception. But then when you're not just hazard perceptioning, and there's
juggling everything,
loads of other things going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's easy to sit and click.
But this is where the sessions are going to come together. So when we did dual controls, we almost put that in a little box for the moment. Today we've looked at setting yourself up and your own ability to be so proactive with your own observations and awareness of what's going on. The next session we'll do directions and instructions. So this is where allowing you to start talking today is going to pay off for the next session, where I'm going to be encouraging you to get the directions in good time, and then look at some instructions, so get you to talk me through something in a way that becomes bullet pointy. And then we start looking at faults. So we've done a little bit of that in terms of why do you think I'm doing it? Tune into me, why do you think I'm doing it? Have a good look, what do you feel, what do you notice, etc., etc. And we'll start fault faking. And within the fault fake, we'll then open the dual control box, because we'll then have faults that will happen that will need there to be some kind of dual control. We'll then reopen the instruction box, because there'll be faults that will need to have had an instruction, proactive or preventative type of instructions. So all those little things that you're doing will lead into the bigger picture as you start working your way through them.
So much to think about.
In a good way or a daunting way?
Daunting! Yeah.
But manageable?
with practice,
Mhm.
lots of hours practice.
Mhm.
Just driving round and round and round and round.
Mhm.
With pupils and experienced drivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think that there's so much that you can do before you even have a pupil in your car. There's so much you can do with a trainer or a colleague or somebody who's going to be with you, another PDI, someone you're buddying with, where you can just get that experience. And then, of course, the ultimate experience of doing it with a pupil. With the idea being that, yes, you have had your brain at least turned on to the fact that you're going to have to do it before you have a pupil. Because can you imagine getting into the car with a pupil having not done these few hours that we'll do, where you're just even thinking, gosh, that's what I had to think.
Yeah.
And that's what these few hours are going to be about. So,
That's fascinating.
for example, the point where I was taking junctions and I probably shouldn't have gone, you needed to be thinking, I hope she's not going to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to be ready with the tell me why you're not going to go, or tell me where your gap is, those type of things.
Yeah.
Because if you miss out that and you're not thinking it, it's not going to happen.
No.
And you're doing that. You're doing that already. Okay. Go and do a bit of writing up as well. You know, obviously your brain needs to digest it all and write down your key points.
Yeah.
I know that you've got the girls that you're going to talk to about the sessions.
Yeah.
And that will help you debrief it and
Yeah.
almost teaching somebody else before they're doing it.
Yeah. I try not to put them off. I should be all positive.
Any queries or questions about what we've done?
No. Yeah, loads.
Again, that might be something that you just want to just write down or think about.
Yeah.
And we'll go over.
And when they come up again, probably on my drive home, I'll think of things.
Yeah, because you won't stop learning when you get in the car. In fact, you'll almost start a whole different process of learning now you get into your own car.
I have thought that.
Be aware that it's quite an intense session because your brain is having to work.
Yeah.
So take it easy on the way home. Have a glass of water before you go.
Yeah.
Get in the car and things.
Yeah.
Or a leg stretch.
Hip stretch. Oh, it's my hips. Pushing that blinking trolley around.
Fab. Thank you
Lovely.
very much, Jo.
Thank
That's
you.
Great. Can you pass me a camera?
Yes. Hello, hello, Bling. Bye, Bling.
I'm going to cut that especially for you.